In this video, I'll demonstrate how to transfer an image onto paper. So we're taking a reference image or a photograph that you've printed. I've actually made a photocopy of that image. I found that photocopies actually transfer much easier just due to the toner being much more fresh on the page, and it releases easier from the page. I've just got this image torn down, so there's a little bit of a border, and I've taped it to secure it. I've got it in my sketch pad because I want to have somewhat of a cushion underneath. I don't want to do this on a hard surface like a table or board. We need a little bit of a cushion to be able to push down without getting too much resistance back. So slightly have a little pad of paper. I'm just going to use some matte fixative. This is actually what we use to spray over graphite and charcoal or pastel drawings to help fix the graphite or pastel to the page to keep it from smearing. In this case, just going to shake up a little bit and spray onto the copy. You want just kind of a light coat. On this one I ended up getting a little bit too much, so I'm just going to let a little bit of it evaporate here. You can actually tell how wet I got it right there. So I'm just let a little bit of that dry. Blow on it a little bit. And then I'm going to actually press it down to the page, and then I'm going to use some sort of tool to then rub on the back side. And this rubbing will then transfer that image into the grain or tooth of the paper. You'll need something that will not tear your copied image. So something like one of Mr. Lau's old footing sticks, or a modeling tool, the back of a spoon, something that's dull but firm. Now this process I'm probably going to have to repeat a couple times here, but I can pick it up and kind of see how things are transferring. It looks like I'm going to need to apply more of the matte fixative on the top of that image, and actually it did quite well with that extra coat. So if you put down too much spray though, your image will blur on the front side, because the spray will just let the ink bleed together and you won't get a very precise image. But for me, part of the interest of this is they don't turn out perfect. There you can see that blurring starting to occur. So this is a perfect example of, too much or not enough. You can see how nicely though that kind of just transfers right off of there. I'm going to actually just put a little bit more on their faces here and put that back down to see if I can't just get a little bit more detail. Sometimes if you go in a different direction with your rubbing, you'll end up getting more of that image to transfer down. So very simply now I've got this, and I can actually add to it with, graphite drawing, add color to it, whatever I want to do. So a printed and then photocopy. One other thing I want to show you, and this one's a little less safe, but this is working with an image torn out of National Geographic. This image itself would be way too large, but if I've torn it down, I'm just going to prep it by taping it down. The last one we use matte fixative, which is very safe, and you could probably even do it in an area that's not vented. This one you really should do in an outdoor area, like in a garage would be preferable, somewhere where you can not be indoors. Or if you're in a spray hood, like what we've got here at East, where it vents for you, that would also work. With this one, I need to kind of tape the image all the way down, and I'm going to be using what's called lacquer thinner. This is a sort of a caustic material, and really you'd want to wear gloves and be in a vented area. For the sake of this video, I've just got a little bit poured in a jar, and I'm going to rub a little bit on the backside, and you can see how powerful this chemical is, because it's actually melting the color, the ink right off the back page. It evaporates extremely quickly too, so I'm only doing a little bit of the image at a time. And you can see why it would be really difficult to do a much larger image. I also tape down all sides just because you really have to rub to get that color to transfer off from the front. The only advantage to using the lacquer thinner is you can actually transfer the color of that magazine print directly off the page onto your page. Otherwise, the matte fixative is really the best way and most convenient way to go. Let's see if this has worked. Usually you have to put in a little bit more effort with the color ones and go back and do the opposing direction. So I think I'll just do a little section here. Well, again, you have to be careful because you're working with paper. Eventually that paper, you're going to wear a hole through it or introduce too much liquid. Fortunately, with a magazine like National Geographic, it's printed on such durable paper that you can really scrub quite a bit and get away with not tearing through or the paper falling apart or disintegrating on you. Again, with this technique, you can kind of pull up a corner to see how things are going, place it back down if you feel like the transfer is not as accurate as you'd like it to be. But you can see the color comes with. So I'm going to probably put it back down to see if I can't get a little bit more in the face area there. But part of the interest is the imperfections. And I never do transfers without introducing my own hand to it. So I would come back in and I could kind of touch up or draw in sections and expand from this if I'd like. So there you go. 2 ways to transfer images that you find in either magazines or online. I can make copies any size you want, and we can transfer and collage them into your drawings or paintings to make more of a mixed media piece.